So this project is starting out pretty simple. It's come from a position of necessity. That front valance hangs way too low, and I've bottomed out multiple times when taking the dirt bikes out and really need a better approach angle. So I've got some extra 1 3/4 DOM tube here, and what I'm doing is a little bit of CAD design. Yep, cardboard aided design, because I don't really know any better. So we made a cardboard template of the profile, used that to measure up what we thought was going to be our bend angles. And then here I'm taking some 1/8 inch, actually this is 10 gauge plate, just slightly thicker than 1/8 inch. After I made a cardboard template and then a sheet metal template for brackets. I'm using the factory holes from those Prius catchers that I pulled off. And I know there's a lot of debate on these things, whether you can or can't take them off. The reality is, lots of models come without them, so I'm not too worried. What I did was use those 2 templates prior to come up with this design using the factory mounting holes, and I'm using those factory mounting bolts as well. I wound up welding a second bolt or a third bolt here into the base and put it on an extension so that I could drop that into the frame. You'll see later. Now my buddy and I here, we're going to be cleaning up this quite rusty DOM that's been sitting on the side of my house. And we have this 2-inch DOM tube that I cut down, put a bolt on to run in the drill, and then you can see it works pretty well to clean it up. If you have a lathe or something, probably way better to do, but this works. Now we're going through the process of trying to figure out what in the world we're doing here. We came up with a number of different angles that we wanted. The center angle is a 12 degree, and then we worked off of that to try to follow the profile one step at a time. We've got our first bend in there. I had it slated at 12 degrees. The spring back brought it back to about 11.5, thereabouts. But I like the way it looks on the truck. So as I was looking at how the bumper has this lip in it, this direction I guess, it kicks up about 7 degrees. So I think I might cut that back and bend it up at 5 degrees, and then the tail end at another 2 degrees. So check it out. Here's what I meant by offsetting the bend. We bent it to 25 degrees to get our spring back. Here's our center mark. When I push down on the center, that comes up about 6 or so degrees, give or take. And this is where things go wrong. Remember, measure twice, bend once. Well, this is the point in YouTube where I stop recording for a while, fix what I just screwed up, come back and say everything was perfect. But that's not what happened. I thought I measured twice, and I just took it out to the truck and I was looking at it and it didn't look right. So something is off here somewhere. Either I marked my center line wrong, or I marked my bend wrong on one side or the other to get lined up. So on this side, center line to the die was 22 1/4. And on this side, center line to the die was 26 1/4. I don't know if I read the tape measure upside down, too fast, backwards, left, right. So now I'm just gonna start cutting stuff apart and see what I can come up with. I think I can sleeve this. This is 1/8 wall, 1 3/4. So if I put a 1.5 inch on the inside, I can sleeve it, drill some rosettes, rotate it, shorten it the way I want it. This is just for looks after all, so I guess this is the fun of practice, right? At the end of the day, I don't really like to waste any materials if I can. What I did was exactly what I was saying, is I chopped this guy up on both sides, make everything even, sleeve it, and then we're able to rotate everything to exactly where it should have been in the first place and make as many different bends, rotations, angles, flares as we wanted. Here I'm putting those rosette holes in there, or plug weld holes, and then I'm also going to weld all the way around the seam on all of these. Here's a look at that first plug weld. You can see I'd put one on either side, then I went ahead and ground those down flat. I think at the end of the day, it's important when you're building something like this to remember to have fun even with the mistakes. I'm trying to show that to my son here as he's working with me through this project, that you're gonna mess up, you have to work past that. You can't just, throw your hands in the air and start over every single time. Sometimes you have to come up with a solution. And in this case, our solution was, to sleeve this and make it look the way we wanted to. And, it turned out pretty good. And at the end of the day, I'm happy with it. I might build another one with some different angles on it just for fun. I do have a bunch of tube left from my cage project. And, lesson learned. Building this front bumper support really was opportune, considering in our homeschool program we're working right now on geometry. So Judah here, he really did enjoy getting to bend and use the tube bender here to take it to the specific angles that he helped me determine, and work through that new knowledge base. It doesn't have to be perfect, just close. We're welding it anyhow. It was at this point that we really started to get a little bit more pep in our step. Yeah. Things were coming together. It was starting to actually work, even with all of our missteps along the way. You can see we're using a set of F-style clamps to hold that up to the brackets. Nothing is welded together here. We're just pinching everything together. I didn't do any welding on the truck. I did all my fit up, then pulled it off, welded on the table. And we just had to do some final work. Here we are in that welding process. Judah did get to put his stamp on it, as he does with many projects as we're learning the different trades. Go ahead and comment below. Do you think he did an okay job welding? My opinion, pretty damn good for 11. Even better than some of the stuff I put on here. This is our final bend. We're working on that little bull bar or front bumper step, light bar, whatever you want to call this piece. We put two 55-degree bends on it, and then we coped each end to fit the 12-degree bend of the center of the bar. That was a bit of work to notch and cope those out, but they came out really tight at the end of the day. I liked the location that everything landed, and it made it much easier to weld up some big fat caterpillars around those and get them held on there nice and tight.
I don't really want to put my hand in there right now. Everything's hot. Are we putting it in front? My side needs to.
Here we have my older son getting the final prep work on the whole setup here. We sanded everything down, and then we hit it with some spray-on bed liner. It wound up taking a whole can. You can see the brackets there I have blue taped because I didn't want any extra thickness, so I wound up painting those after all of this had cured. Then we're able to get it up under the truck and fit everything up one final time.
Come on, something. There it is. Got it. Ready? Got it.
You have a nut?
Yep, I got one. Oop, you're hitting the tire over here. No, I have one.
There it is. I couldn't see it.
Okay. Ah, dropped it on myself again.